Hello, everybody, and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. Well, today you join me. I was going to go out for a walk, and the weather's been a bit pants, as we would say. So I'm inside again. So it's not going to be too long. But there's a couple of interesting things I'd like to talk about. So again, I'm kind of on the positivity thing at the moment. So I will get that into that in a minute. But first of all, what a cracking show episode 25 of Pandora's Box was. If you haven't seen it, I think you really should. It was very, very interesting. There's a lot of very interesting content in there, and I think one of the highlights for me was Richard channeling Max of the Crystal Skull live. The, the light just went strange when I just said that. Very strange. Was Richard channeling Max of the Crystal Skulls live on air, as it were, and me being able to ask some pertinent questions about the Anunnaki and the pyramids and really interesting stuff. So for all of you that have not quite seen it yet, that's a pretty good show that one. So yeah, thank you. Now, and I will put a link in the description, even though it was yesterday, but no dramas. I want to talk about some. I came across. I mean, I look at Telegram and I'm flicking through. I've got my own Telegram channel, by the way, called Alternative Interactions. For those that don't know, I post up bits and pieces that come across, and will sometimes put extra information on videos that I can't put up on YouTube. So yeah, interesting. But I was going across through Telegram and I came across something that I thought was really interesting, and it sparked one of those little okay moments, you know. So what it was a survey. I presume it's real. You know, who knows today, but it was a survey in Germany, and what it was 87% or no, sorry, I lie. 84%, I knew I was going to get this wrong. 84% of Germans believe that there are people who do not express their true opinions or views, either in polls or in public or whatever. I assume is what they were talking about. Now, that's quite a high amount of people who would have been probably thinking about themselves, I think. So 84% of Germans in this poll were fundamentally saying that they don't, or they don't believe others express their true thoughts anymore openly. Now that's an indictment of clearly of the German society or the European society we currently are under and the kind of constraints, because let's be fair, Germany is having it just as bad as anywhere else. Certainly in the UK at the moment, we have Queer Stalin pushing more draconian rules through at an ever increasingly quick rate, and some quite interesting, let's put it that way, interesting decisions are being made at the moment. But I think it's good. I think it's good. So why do I think it's good? Well, the more they push, the bigger the pushback ultimately will come from the public. Now, if 84% of Germans think people don't express their true feelings, I would say a fairly high percentage of those polled would have actually been, as I said before, you know, just now, thinking about themselves. I will not express on a poll, on a survey, you know. not a Polish person, but on the survey, that what I actually think. You know, can you imagine going round and having a survey done about your thoughts on this, that, and the other, and then getting a knock on the door, or knowing that because of what you said on a survey that you're now under a terrorist list or a heightened survey or security. That's proper 1984, and but it struck me as a really, really positive sign. Now, what I mean by this is if if that survey has got any kind of credence, the majority of, even if it's just half, let's be very conservative, half of that 84% are actually thinking or completely against what their government is doing. That is a very strong mandate and a lot of people. Now, if you transfer that across to the UK or Ireland, in Ireland, I should imagine it's quite high, and in the UK, we're seeing things in the last few weeks that are I thought I'd never see. Let's put it that way. I live in a very rural area, and to have 300 people stood out an immigration hotel, a hotel that used to be for us, for the English people, and then was obviously taken over via a government contract, and is extreme. There's 300 people in a very small area, an outskirt of Norwich, who were mostly locals, who were standing outside this hotel peacefully, showing how upset they are. But it was quite interesting. There's one of the policemen let slip that on a daily basis they're getting phone calls because girls are being followed by these men. And where I live, very small village, and there have been certain gentlemen from a certain kind of race standing in the park. You know, I'm sure he means absolutely no harm to anybody, but yeah, you know. So things are things are starting to change a bit within the perception of the public. This is the Great Awakening, and fundamentally for me, this is the Great Awakening. This is the public. This is the mass awakening. The 100 monkey syndrome is going over that, and has probably gone over the tipping point by a fair way. So, if 40% of all Germans who were asked about their thoughts and feelings and didn't feel that they could express them, I should imagine it's very similar in the UK, probably even higher in the Ireland actually. But the fact is, people are thinking and starting to change their thought patterns. And this coincides with what we're seeing in programs, or I say programs, but what I'm seeing myself personally, and what we're starting to mention and talk about in some of the shows that I'm doing, because I think it's becoming more and more relevant as we're coming towards change. I did a brilliant show with Meten on money, and the fact is that when money goes, or we have the issues with the money, that a lot of the bad actors and all the issues are going to go. And we looked at the potential times when it could go and reasons why, which is very interesting. And again, I'll put the link into my description as well. That's Meten and Plutonic Planes, and I won't be dropping that video on my channel for another few days. So, and again, kind of looked into certain things, and the feel of the video, Rocking Pandora's Box 25, we were certainly, there wasn't our direct meaning, but we were looking at the waking up of nature and Gaia and the things changing. Looked at the 8-8 portal. So there's this energy building up and changing, which is really, really positive for change and a proper change. Not just a small sort of like effort. This will be the real deal because people will not put their head above the parapet, as it were, until they've really had enough, and there's that mass movement, and we're getting to that mass movement period, and I'm pretty sure the UK government, German authorities, and everybody else are fully aware of this. We've had some really interesting signs previously about this. Now, in the USA, I think it was a Super Bowl commercial for Bud Light, but certainly it was the Bud Light advertisement campaign. And Bud Light went woke, and I think they had some kind of strange advertising. I can't remember what it was now. Didn't pay a lot of attention at the time, but I can remember seeing in the shelves that all the beers would be gone apart from Bud Light, and the American public stopped buying Bud Light, and I think it nearly took Bud Light or Budweiser out. Now that could be said as being you know a left wing, right wing kind of political type thing. Fair play, fair play. But for me, it was a sign at the time that the American people got it. You know, you're really getting it, understanding what's going on, and that hasn't changed. Just because Trump's in power, that has not changed. And if anything, people, you know, we develop and we grow constantly, even though you may not see it in some people. The kind of beautiful femi community that I'm talking about, our fat true family of awakened people and awakened beings and those that get it. Okay, we'll just go with those that get it. I think it's a simpler way of putting it. They're growing and we're constantly growing. Self work that we constantly do means there's growth. And so the period of time when Budweiser nearly went bust and the Bud Light wasn't being purchased, well, those people are still moving on and they're still growing spiritually. And they're going into a different dimension of their reality and understanding things better and better and better and more. And it doesn't matter who's in charge or what's going on, people will have a tipping point in what they're prepared to put up with. So, this is not, I'm not inciting anything at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm just expressing what I'm observing, just by not buying drinks. Now we have Jaguar car maker. I'm pretty sure most people are aware of Jaguar cars across the world. The old E-type Jags, iconic vehicles. Always had an old boys kind of feel, but have done some pretty sporty looking vehicles in the recently, and they're a well-known kind of British brand, even though they're not British anymore, of course. I can't remember who owns them now, probably Ford or somebody, I don't know. Nothing is owned by anybody anymore of that country generally, unless it's China or maybe South Korea with Kia or something. I'm not sure, but certainly most of the cars out there are hybrids of another car. It's just how it is these days. So it's very interesting that in the month of April, that Jaguar sold across the entirety of Europe 49 cars exactly. Yeah, 49 cars. Jaguar is in deep doo-doo. And I think the managing director of Jaguar is now stepping down or is stepped down. And the reason for this complete collapse in Jaguar's fortune is a woke advert. I actually saw the advert and couldn't quite work out what was going on. Couldn't work out what was going on. I weren't sure what they were selling. Were they selling something or not? A fashion? Was it a fashion show with strange people draped over vehicles, or was it? I don't know. But apparently that was their car sales advert, and it's gone down very, very badly with the public. And so when I saw that 84% of Germans sort of survey, and I will put this information on my Telegram so you can just see it, it's easy. I thought to myself, whoa, here we go. The worm's turning. The worm is turning. Things are about, the people are not prepared, I don't think, to take the kind of control mechanism that's going to be forced upon us anymore. There was another story today. So I got a drippy nose, a bit of a hay fever still. It's even though the weather's terrible, kind of thing. It's muggy and warm, and obviously the plants are pumping out pollen at the moment. And it's like I don't take anything. I try to be as drug free as possible, and so and I don't normally suffer too badly from hay fever, to be fair. So you know, but I saw this flicking through again. What was it? I can't remember. But I was flicking through Telegram, and this thing came up, and again it was talking about new laws that are going to be brought into the UK, or new this or new that, and all fear, jackboot type issues, which were really quite authoritarian. And I got that little down, ting 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 ting, and that's it. It was digital ID. Yeah. So the government's now going to force digital ID on us. Well, at the point that I need to have a digital ID to do anything, I won't be here, will I? I won't play those games. So I'll be gone off things, and I'll just be playing my own game at that point. But I won't actually be gone because I saw very clearly that they're going to run out of time. They're going to run out of time because time is not their friend anymore. Because the tipping point of the 100 monkeys has come, and the public, is that going to be a straw? Apparently, if you don't have this digital ID, you won't be able to buy anything in shops. You won't be able to get benefits. You won't be able to sign on to a computer. You won't be able to do anything, in fact. And I think, wow, that's quite a big, isn't it? Do you really think that the public will swallow that one? When we have 84% of Germans not expressing themselves, do you think that the people will not at some point really express themselves? But I got that it wasn't going to come in because they were going to run out of time because I saw them in chains. Very difficult to bring in a digital ID while you're being prosecuted for treason, isn't it? You know? That's obviously none of this is true. This is just make believe. This is just a story. And, you know, again, please see my disclaimer that this channel is for entertainment purposes only. And obviously, I have to say these kind of things because I'm in England. And we're seeing long prison sentence issued to people who are not playing ball currently online. So yeah, very interesting times. So yeah, it was interesting, this build up and this build up, but I see it as a positive, and it really is a positive, I think, because what we're seeing is the beginning of the end of the Khazarian mafia's grip on us, and we're going to get the snowball effect. You know, somebody I was listening to today said, "Oh yeah, it'd just be the one snowflake that lands extra on the top of the mountain that causes the avalanche, and the avalanche is primed to go." You know, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, who knows? 8 weeks. You know, I've got a fair idea, I think, of when we're going to start seeing some interesting times, because we're in them now fundamentally. But there's going to be the point in which just one tiny little snowflake lands on the top of that mountain, and that will cause the avalanche. So all we're doing is waiting for the one snowflake, because it's coming, and there's nothing they can do about it now. They've set their course, and their die is set, as they would say. So yeah, very interesting. So again, I'm seeing positive signs. All the signs are there. You know, we can all laugh and oh my God, Bud Light nearly went bust, and Jaguar Land Rover, and are in complete chaos because they sold 49 cars in an entire month across the whole of Europe because of their woke advertising. But it's actually a deeper, much, much deeper than that. And that lovely little piece of information about the 84% of Germans surveyed don't believe that people are expressing themselves fully because of trust issues. And that's a very, very interesting, very, very interesting, very interesting times, I think. So this is just things that make you go, very interesting. So look at the signs, look at the positivity of this. Everything's moving in the right direction, and we're getting all these lovely little signs, and we've been made aware of it as well, you know. So with that, love, light, and blessings, everybody. Thank you very much for all the support, all the shares. Really do appreciate it. And I shall catch up with you very, very soon. Bye bye.